Hello, welcome to day 128. As you all know, I started this course, 500 Days with NTI, with that analogy of the Karate Kid. And last week I said that really we're pulling together those early skills we learned, like wax on and wax off and paint the fence, right? We're pulling those skills together now. So we're really getting into the karate. Or, that's the analogy, of course. What we're doing is we're taking the skills that we developed while we were in NTI Matthew and NTI Mark, and we're starting to pull them in now to at least a more intermediate skill set. And in fact, as the scribe of NTI, I knew that NTI Matthew and NTI Mark were like a warm-up. In fact, they even felt like a warm-up for the scribe. And it seemed like the course, NTI is called a course in understanding and acceptance. It seemed like the course that is NTI really kicked in, not only at NTI Luke, but most specifically at NTI Luke chapter 4. In fact, it kicked in with this sentence from verses 14 to 30. This is a course of looking within yourself, for in truth there is nowhere else to look, right? That's the real start. That's where we cross over from the warm-up into the heat of the curriculum. There's one thing on this page, though, that I think sometimes is misunderstood. This is page 131 in the paperback version of NTI. This is a quote from the Bible. It says, "The Spirit of the Lord is on me, because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners and recovery of sight for the blind, to release the oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor." And this is traditionally interpreted to mean an outward focus, right? Saving others, helping others, an outward focus. But what we want to keep in mind is that this is a course of looking within yourself. And in fact, right underneath this quote from the Bible, NTI says, "Today this scripture is fulfilled in your hearing. Forget not the purpose of this course. It is a course of looking within." This is the message of this scripture. This is the anointment you have accepted. So when the scripture says the Spirit of the Lord is on me because he has anointed me to preach good news to the poor, that's an analogy for within myself, right? I'm going to preach good news to the poor. Really means that I am going to listen to the right mind and therefore comfort my soul, which has been suffering as it's been listening to the wrong mind. He has sent me to proclaim freedom for the prisoners, right? The prisoner was my own soul. Recovery of sight for the blind. I am the one that was blind. To release the oppressed. I am the one that has been oppressed by the mind and believing the mind. To proclaim the year of the Lord's favor. This is when the healing begins. And in fact, that we have been giving our willingness this week for our healing. In fact, yesterday, we gave willingness for the healing to begin. We said that I am ready and I trust I have the faith to complete the process. In NTI Luke chapter 4, underneath verses 31 to 37 at the top of page 133, we were asked to practice this. Acknowledge that you are sick. Remember, you have decided to be healed. Turn away from the voice of sickness. Give all of your attention to your willingness to be healed. Trust in your willingness. And again, we're doing that in one way or another every day, 8 times a day, for a minute. We're giving our willingness, we're trusting our willingness, right? In a slightly different way each day. But we're really giving special time to focus on that willingness to heal. Now, in the past, I have known people who were not excited by the term sick being used here. Acknowledge that you are sick. So I went and looked up in the dictionary at the definitions of sick and found one that I thought would be helpful to us. It included being mentally, morally, or emotionally unsound. And I would say that when we are believing the ego, we are mentally, morally, or emotionally unsound. And unsound means not in proper condition, or it means to be impaired, right? To be impaired. And when we listen to the ego, we are impaired. We are not seeing with clarity. So it's a true statement that I am sick because I'm listening to the voice of sickness. I am impaired. I am unsound because I'm listening to an unsound, impaired voice, right? And I want to be healed. And the definition of being healed is to become whole or to become sound, right? I want to be returned to my right mind, returned to the knowledge of myself as unity consciousness. So these words, acknowledge that you are sick, is acknowledging that you believe the ego. Remember, you have decided to be healed, right? That's why we're here. We want to be returned to our soundness, return to our right mind, return to our wholeness. Turn away from the voice of sickness, because if I keep believing it, I'm going to remain unsound. Give all of your attention to your willingness to be healed. And again, we're practicing that at least 8 minutes a day, right? Where we're just sitting down for a full minute and giving our attention to our willingness to be healed. And then trust in your willingness. And again, that was an important part of our most recent 8 minutes, where we have said, I am ready. And I trust I have the faith to complete this process. And in fact, why don't we just take a minute to look at that again? Let me prompt you on exactly what the words were in case you don't have them handy. I invite the healing process to begin. I invite the healing process to begin. I am ready, and I trust I have the faith to complete this journey. And again, you let any related thoughts come to you. And in fact, in case some people aren't sure what related thoughts look like, maybe what I'll do is just speak this minute out loud. You all can just, listen and hopefully feel what I'm saying for this minute. And maybe that will help people who are a little confused about what these related thoughts are. So let me start my timer. Oops, it needs my face ID. All right, here we go. I invite the healing process to begin. I sincerely and wholeheartedly invite the healing process to begin because I want to be free. I want to be clear. I want to know truth. And I know healing is needed in order for that to be accomplished. I am ready. And I trust I have the faith to complete this journey. I trust I have the willingness to complete this journey. I trust I will be led and that I will recognize that guidance and listen to that guidance and follow that guidance. I invite the healing process to begin. I am ready. And I trust I have the faith to complete this journey. All right. So that's what that looks like. And now if you didn't have all of your minutes, you have another minute done now. So there you go, if you didn't have all 8 of your minutes in for the day. I think that's all I wanted to say about NTI right now. As we go forward this week, again, we're still going to have some of those 8-minute contemplations, as well as other things that we'll be watching for throughout the day, judgments, ego, that kind of thing. We'll be practicing the superconductor with any negative feelings that arise. One thing I want to say about the superconductor process is that throughout these 500 days, I'm not going to assign that every day. But that's a skill set that you should keep in your pocket every day, whether it's, quote, assigned or not. And whenever an emotion comes up and seems to be taking all of your attention, or a thought or a judgment comes up and seems to be taking all of your attention, practice the superconductor process, right? Just make that a permanent part of your skill set, even if it's not assigned in the homework. One other thing about this upcoming week is, you're going to have another Regina Dawn Akers Luke teaching to listen to. Last week's teaching, I kind of talked about how I use the superconductor process, even though I didn't have that name then, but I talked about how I rested when these strong feelings of unworthiness and such came up. This coming week, we're going to have another Regina Dawn Akers video, and we're also going to have a really short 10-minute video about the do nothing meditation process, which is helping to move us into the next stage of the do nothing meditation, which is what I want to talk about now. I talked about this last week as well, I think. But some of you may have noticed that when you're practicing the do nothing meditation, some of you may have noticed that, again, your thoughts can become very narrowly focused on thought. Or sorry, your attention can become very narrowly focused on thought. So that while you're sitting there with your eyes open, watching the video or looking at whatever you're looking at some point, it kind of gets filtered out what you're looking at. It's kind of filtered out of your attention. And the only thing you're paying attention to are these thoughts. The ego really is that contraction. The ego is a contraction. That's a great way to describe the ego. It is a contraction. And our truth is completely open, right? Boundless, eternal, infinite, right? It's not the contraction. So what we're doing during the do nothing meditation is we are now learning to reverse that process of being contracted to being our natural self, which is open and boundless and infinite. It's somewhat like if we had a fist that's been closed. In kindergarten, they taught us to close our hand and hold it like this, and we've done it all our lives. All our lives. And in fact, we completely forgot that this hand is supposed to be open. And then somebody comes along and says, you could get by in life much better if you had two hands. Why don't you open up that hand? And we don't even, what do you mean open up that hand? We have to be taught all about the fact that we can have two hands and be handling everything much more easily, right? And they start teaching us to open the hand, and they call that meditation. And it's a lot of effort because our muscles have atrophied. It's a lot of effort. We try to open up our hand, and then, when we aren't paying attention, it just closes again, right? So next day we sit down for half an hour, and we practice opening our hand. And then when we're not paying attention, it closes down again. But eventually one day, this hand is open, it's loose, it's free. And now we have two hands again. Well, that's what meditation is, except it's not the hand that's contracted. It's the tension, the focus, the awareness, the consciousness. It's become very contracted. It's contracted on thought. It can be contracted on emotion. It can be contracted on this body, but it's very contracted. Me, this, right? Very contracted. That's the ego. And we're learning to open it up again. So with that said, when you're in the do nothing meditation, although we are doing nothing, we want to do nothing with a focus. The focus is remaining relaxed and open. And we started, for the first couple of weeks just by playing with the jaw. Whenever the jaw would become tight, we would relax it again. And now what we're doing is we're noticing when the attention becomes very contracted on thought, or it could be emotion if you have emotion coming up during the meditation. And we're relaxing that again. We're opening that up. And some of the skills that you've already learned can help you do that, such as the brain relaxation meditation, the appreciating life meditation, the inner calling meditation, right? So one of the things that you'll find starting today is that on the review day, you actually have a choice when it comes to the meditation. You can do a do nothing meditation if you feel like, you're getting some good practice with that, some good opening up is happening, you can just continue with that. Or if you feel like you would like to review a previous meditation skill so that you can bring it into your do nothing meditation, you can do that. So for example, with today's post, you have the link to the brain relaxation meditation. And so if you want to, you could practice that meditation. And then during the week, when you're practicing do nothing, if you notice that your attention has become contracted, you can shift to become more open by focusing on relaxing the brain, right? If you're only meditating for 15 minutes a day or 22 minutes a day, you can also do that with these review audios. The audios are typically 30 minutes, so you could listen to the whole thing, but you can also set a timer and meditate for the minimum of 15 minutes or anything between 15 and 30. You can also stay and meditate longer after the audio ends. I think this morning I meditated for 45 minutes. So I did the 30-minute brain relaxation meditation, and then I stayed in silence, continuing brain relaxation for 15 more minutes. So again, you'll notice this on the review days, you'll have a choice. And in fact, the 10-minute video we're going to watch this coming weekend is a little bit about how the do nothing meditation can be misunderstood, and about how it's important that even though you're doing nothing, you keep one focus. And that one focus is to relax, or that one focus is to be open, or that one focus is to be aware. You're not just sitting there letting the default brain take you off into daydreaming. Also, if you happen to have the experience of strong emotions coming up during the do nothing meditation, you can practice the do nothing meditation, practice being open while those emotions are coming up. But if you find that difficult, I want to give you permission to switch to the superconductor, because really the superconductor is, in a way, the same thing. In fact, let me just share my screen and show you what I mean. With the superconductor, right, you're relaxing. You're bringing your attention into the present moment. When you bring your attention to the present moment, what do I hear, right? What am I feeling, right? And so you're broadening up your awareness. You were contracted on this emotion. Now you're broadening up your awareness. Then you're connecting with the body, feeling it. What does it feel like, with a sense of curiosity, allowing it, observing it, and then, whoops, do nothing, right? So you're coming into awareness with the feeling, and then the do nothing meditation is right there. So feel free to switch to superconductor if you have emotions coming up during a meditation period. One more thing I want to comment on is why this is an eyes open meditation instead of an eyes closed meditation. There's really a couple of reasons. One, again, we're using the do nothing meditation to reverse the habit of being contracted on thought. And when you close your eyes and you take out sight, there's actually one less perception for you to be aware of, which makes the thought have a stronger influence. So when my eyes are open, especially if I'm looking at a video of fish, I can be paying attention to the fish, paying attention to the bubbles in the water, paying attention to the plant life. But when I close my eyes and I take that away, the thoughts are right here in front of me. And the attention is very tempted to point out and contract on the thoughts. So it's actually more beginning level, therefore more helpful in the learning process to practice with your eyes open. Because if I notice that my attention is going to the thoughts, because that can still happen with my eyes open, but I can relax and start paying attention to the fish again, and the sound of the ocean, or the music again, right? I can broaden my awareness. So it's helpful in that way. Another way that eyes open is helpful is as you get used to moving from contraction to open, you can do this at any time during your daily life, right? You could be brushing your teeth, notice you're contracted on thought, open. Driving your car, notice you're contracted on thought, open. listening to someone, noticing you're not listening because you're contracted on thought, open. But typically in daily life, our eyes are also open. So if we've only learned how to do this with our eyes closed, it's harder for us to do it in our daily life. So if we've learned to shift out of this contracted position into this open position with our eyes open, we can then practice this at any point. That's really going to help us stop having this clenched fist, right? If we're practicing not just 15 or 30 minutes or an hour a day, but practicing throughout the day. Every time we notice we start to clench it again, we start to practice opening it again, right? Every time you notice you're contracted on thought or contracted on emotion or contracted on a body pain, right? Mind, emotion, or body, open, right? So let's start bringing this do nothing meditation into our day. Whenever our attention is called to the fact that we've contracted, let's practice opening, becoming aware. What do I hear? What do I feel? What do I see? Can I hear more? Feel more? See more? Right? Open, open, open. All right, that's it for today. Enjoy your upcoming week. Again, we're going to be giving more and more willingness for this healing process to continue and for us to awaken to truth. I'll see you next week. Bye.